right? This is equal to 15 over 100, which is equal to 0.15. Very good. So if we want to increase something by 15%, how do we do that? Do we just say 100 times 0.15?
I would say add 100 plus 100.1.
Good. So we have 100, and then we need to increase by 15% of 100. Okay, so this becomes 100 plus, and if you stick this in your calculator, what do you get? You get 15. So that is how we get 150, right? So increase by 15%.
Give me some math lesson.
Yes, actually that is the plan for the rest of the day. We are going to be going over math.
Oh.
So this was a great segue into it. Thank you, Shahid. So actually, I've got something for you on my desk. Give me one.
I don't like it.
We're going to do our multiplication table.
For you guys.
I was falling asleep right now.
I saw that you were like,
You do like this. I see you do like that. You joke. It was like, what is she over there?
Take 2 sheets.
I don't want to be doing math right now.
There you go.
I'm gonna use my photo map to make sure I'll give you two. You know what I'm talking about?
Each person gets 2 sheets. Each person gets 2 sheets. So take 2 of your
Photo map, take a picture of it.
I know. Some of you are going to say this is really simple math. Some of,
No.
you need to cover it. All
We need all
right.
the
2 sheets,
help we can
pass the others down.
Mr. Phung,
Yes.
so for KVP, what if you get a decimal? Do we round it up to the nearest?
Yeah, we just round it. You will just round it.
100 plus 100.
Yeah, I was like this.
Take 2, pass it down.
100 plus 100.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, that's great. I like got up.
Take
What's up,
2,
bro?
pass the others
Doing a lot
down.
of pain?
Each person gets 2
My neck,
sheets.
yeah.
Take 2, pass the other down. Fine. Nice.
You have this one?
Just make sure that
Yeah.
No, I will not ask you to buy a calculator. In class, you can just use
Wait,
your
these
phone.
are-
Wait.
No.
In tests, Exam.Soft has a built-in
They're not the
calculator.
same.
You're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
not-
you're right.
You will not need anything more complex
You see, I got
than
it.
a basic 4-function calculator. You may write on that. That is yours. Okay, so coming up over the next few semesters, we will do stuff that involves math. I do want to make sure that everyone is able to solve basic equations. So, I would like us to take, let's take 10 minutes. You can use your phone's calculator if you'd like. See how far you can get on these worksheets. They are front and back. Okay, so just try and get as far as you can on these worksheets, and then we will discuss how to do these equations. 3 more minutes.
For both the sheets.
As much as you can.
Yes.
You know, where I got these things.
Sorry. All right, let's go ahead and put our pencils down. How was it?
It's simple, but it was
That's
very long.
what it
I can't finish.
Simple. Oh, okay.
Show us one, then you figure it
All
out.
right.
It's been a while, that's all I'm saying.
It's not that you're stupid, it's just we just haven't gone over it properly. So
You said that.
let's talk about this first one, right? A times B times C. So what did you get for number 1? 30. All right. Pretty straightforward, right? You just multiply
Yes,
them. Okay. What about for something like number 5, where B is your unknown?
Decimal five,
C.
sir.
Divided A by C.
All right. So how are we supposed to rearrange this initial equation to solve for B?
AB is
Isolate
equal to
the,
C, sir.
isolate B.
Okay, right. So you see that B is not by itself, right?
Right.
B is stuck to this A. So on both sides, we are going to need to divide by the A, right? So we have A times B, right? And then we're going to divide by A here. Anything we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So on this side, we're going to divide by A as well, right? Both sides, we divide by A. This and this, these will cancel each other out, right? Because one is times, one is divide, right? So these cancel each other out. And what does that leave us? It leaves us B equals C over A. And so now, right, our C is 36, our A is 72, so we can just do B equals 36 over 72. Right? Okay.
So I did that.
Oh, and you get to practice it again. Get it right. All right. What about something like It doesn't have a number, the blank one, which should be number 7, but is unfortunately blank.
Negative 1.1.
We have a 7.
Yeah, we have some.
No, it's negative
1.0, negative 1.1.
So, same thing, right? We need to get A by itself. I think I heard the correct answer. So, once again, we have A times B, right? Equals C. So how do we get A by itself? Well, what's stuck to the A? First of all, what's stuck to the A? Samantha,
You said what is attached to the A?
correct.
On what number? Or just
the
7.
blank one. It should be number 7,
7.
but it's
oh,
blank.
7. For let's see. For A, it is.
So, without looking at the numbers, just look at the equation here.
Oh.
What is attached to this A? What is coming along with it?
B.
What's hanging onto it?
I guess B.
B, right? B is trying to stick along with A, right? It's like that friend that tries to follow you to the party, even though you don't want them at the party. And how is the B sticking to the A?
Times. We need to
Times, right? A times B. So we want to get rid of this B, we need to do the opposite. What's the opposite of times?
division.
Divide. So we're going to divide by B. If we divide by B on one side, what happens on the other side of the equal sign? Same thing, right? So times B, divide by B, these two cancel each other out. So we are left with A equals C over B. Great, so what is our C?
Negative 82.
C,
I mean 90.40.
90.64.
90.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
okay, so,
Divided by.
alright, so we're gonna use the, we'll do the blank one.
C
Right.
is 40.
Which number was this?
The blank one. It should be number 7, but it's blank because I
How
screwed up
did
the
I
number.
but I got decimal.
Oh,
Yeah.
this
Negative
one.
1.1 I got.
Oh, C is 40,
That's
okay.
for number the B is 72. We're looking at the blank one.
Alright, so C is 40.
The one on your left side.
Oh, negative, it's like decimal 5.
Over 72.
Yep, okay, there we go, great. Alright, and so if we do this, right, we end up with, what was that?
Decimal
0.55.
5.6.
0.56?
Yes, sir.
It's a carrying 5.
It's 5.555.
555, alright. Okay, round
I did it
round
differently,
to
but I
point
got the
6.
answer. I
Okay.
was using
Yeah.
X.
So,
Were you using X?
I was
so
using X.
does
I
anyone
just
still have
divide.
questions on how we can move these letters around? Right, you just find out which one you want by itself, figure out what else is attached to it and how it's attached, and then just do the opposite, right? This is times A, so we divided by A, right? This one over here was times B, so we divided by B. That's how we got rid of the hanger-ons. All right. So then, what about section B? What did we get for number 1?
1.5.
How did we get that?
Section B. 1.5.
You multiply A and B.
6 divided by 2.
Okay, good. So first of all, we just put in the numbers, right? And then I heard that, well, we have 2 numbers on one side. We can just multiply them right now and simplify, right?
3 over 2 is 1.5.
Six equals 4 times B. All right, great. And so now what?
Same thing as before.
Right, we want D by itself, right? Good, so it's attached to 4. How is it attached? Multiplication, so we do the opposite, divide by 4. What we do on one side, we do to the other. Right? And so we end up with 6 over 4 equals D, right? Because D
3 over 2 and then
Okay, let's see. Do we want to do another one, or
that's 1.5. No, we're good.
You're okay.
we're okay with that?
Oh, you okay,
Can we go
Sam?
to,
Okay.
Let's do the
What
next
about
one.
C?
No idea.
I didn't even get that far.
Which one?
Well,
Number 6.
Section C. On the back.
I didn't get that far.
yeah, I was focused on getting all other questions.
I got all of them.
Okay, so you can finish that at home, but let's just talk about it. Does this equation in C look familiar?
Yes.
Yes, what we did just now, right?
It's all the same.
is D is right here, just like we did in section A. Right, so it's actually not that different. You already know how to do this.
So
Okay?
basically you just divide.
But there is a tricky one here, but before we get to it, let's talk about section D, because section D will make section C a lot easier. So let's talk about section D here. Alright, so section D, we have A over B equals C over D. So how on earth do we solve for an unknown here?
AD is equal to C.
Cross multiply and
Cross multiply.
Alright. Okay, so you could just cross multiply it, right? You could just say A or is it times D equals C times D, right? And when you do that, it looks a lot like section B, doesn't it? Right? So it makes it nice and simple. But I'm going to show you an even easier method, in my opinion.
Ratios?
Alright, so step one. So this is number one for section D, right? I plugged in the numbers. Okay. So all you do is start with the number on the same side as D. Right? In this case, 30 is on the same side as D, correct? Same side of the equal sign. And you're going to go across diagonally and multiply.
120.
30 times 4 is 120. Good. From there, you go straight up and down, and you divide by that number. So,
60.
okay, 120 divided by 20 is 6. And then, you're done. That is equal to D. D is 6.
But you did the same thing, sir. What
So,
you-
It's the
so
same
it's
as
just
D.
like this, but instead of having to actually move things around, you just go 1, 2, 3. Just multiply, divide, and that's your answer. You don't even need to move things.
Might as well state how you have learned it.
All right, that's right. If you learned it one way, go ahead and use that method if you'd like. But this is just, if you're not sure how to do these, this is my preferred method. Just go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if we go back to C in this case, all right, so we've got, wrap this. All right, so let's say we've got something like this here, right? Like A over B equals C. Right? And let's say we are looking at number 7, right, where it's A is 3 and C is 5. Okay. So, once again, right, math, multiple ways to do things, right? One way you can do it is you're like, oh, well, let's get B by itself. Well, how do we get B by itself? Right, so we have 3 divided by B, right? So here we need a times B, and then over here we need to times B. Right, so divided by B times B, they cancel. And now we have 3 equals 12 times B. Right, and then to get B by itself, then over here we divide by 12, over here we divide by 12. Right.
1 over 4.
Okay. And so, right, 3, whoops. So 3 over 12 equals B, and that is 0.25. Right, so that's one way you could do it if you feel comfortable with moving things around.
No.
Now, how else can we do this?
There's a 1 under 2 over here. So we can divide it through.
So if you multiply the 3 on both sides, this is what is going to happen. Alright, so we have 3 divided by B equals 12. Multiply 3 on both sides, right? So. Mhm. I'll use the x 4 times. So, 3. What is 3 as a fraction?
3 over 1.
3 over 1. So this is 3 over b times 3 over 1. Now, it looks weird here, so I'm going to show you what it looks like when they are vertical, straight up and down. 3 over b times 3 over 1. When this happens, top multiplies by top, bottom multiplies by bottom. So what you end up with is actually going to be 3 times 3 is what?
No.
9. So you end up with 9 up here. And then b times 1 is what?
B.
B. You end up with b down here. And then 12 times 3 is what? 36. So if you multiply by 3, you actually end up with this. So multiplying by 3 does not work.
So 3,
One
it would
divide
only
one
work
by
if the 3
4.
was in the denominator.
Correct. So b has to be in the numerator, 3 has to be in the denominator.
How come
So-
we do 12 over 1? Because
So wait,
So-
so you only do that whenever the number's in the denominator, it doesn't work for the numerator.
So your variable, your
Then
unknown,
this-
has to be in the numerator.
For that to work.
Correct.
So the b has to be on top of that, to get rid of 36.
Sorry.
For the answer.
What question are we doing here?
So,
Seven?
so the answer will not be 36.
It would have been the 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, if they're opposite, then yes, the answer would have been 36. So, here is my easy way to do this.
we just put 12
My
over
easy
1.
way is, once again, oh, sorry, what is that?
Or you can do trial divide by 1.
Yeah, and then
Very
cross
good.
multiply.
I'm gonna, earlier we said that, right, we can put whole numbers as fractions, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna call this 12 over 1, and suddenly, what does this look like?
Cross multiplication.
This looks like cross multiplication, doesn't it?
Yes.
So once you get to this point, right, just stick the 1 underneath, you cross multiply. You don't need to do all this fancy moving around, right? You just cross multiply, keep it simple. 1 goes on this side, 3 goes on that side, and then you can solve. For me, right, I do it my even simpler way, in my opinion, right? So I just go 3 times 1, and then I go that result divided by 12, and then I go, that's my answer.
1 by 4.6.
So, the very final one here at the back, you do have these squared things. Right? We can talk about how to handle those next week, because this is what is going to be important for handling that inverse square law. Right? So we'll actually talk about in detail how we can calculate for inverse square law. All right, that's all I have for you today.
Is it homework?
The very back, E. E.
Is it
Yes,
for
oh,
practice?
thank you, vocab. So let me just, before you leave, let me just quickly check your flashcards. Before you leave, let me quickly check your flashcards. Please continue to bring your flashcards with you.
Is this homework?
No, that is not homework. That is if you want to practice yourself. But that is not
Well,
homework.
mine is there.
Awesome, thank you.
I did it, but I have so much stuff in here. Like, so.
There's so many, oh my god, makeups, it's like, oh my god.
Awesome, thank you.
You shouldn't need me to do this.
You do not need to do that for homework. But if you want to practice your math, you can use that. I will send out the answer key to that.